As Americans, we understand that there are laws in place to keep us safe. For those not living in the United States, some of our laws still apply to them, such as the national immigration laws. Thousands of non-American citizens travel through the southern United States border each year. In recent news, the way the Trump administration and federal government is handling the illegal immigrants has become public. For many, it is hard to understand the situation completely. There are many details of the issue that are complicated and hard to understand. Considering America is such a well-developed country, there are many non-citizens that want to make their way to the United States for various reasons. It is vital that the American people know and understand how the federal administration is handling such an issue. In May, the Trump administration issued a directive to prosecute all unauthorized border crossers in federal court. This caused detention facilities, children's shelters, and the legal system to become overwhelmed. Criminal charges meant extra paperwork and a huge flood of cases in the legal system. Some offices are even running out of places to hold people. On May 6, 2018, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that the Department of Justice would be partnering with the Department of Homeland Security, and all individuals crossing the United States border without authorization would be prosecuted. It was noted that this new policy is aimed at deterring unlawful border crossings. It was also stated that if parents did not want to be separated from their children, they shouldn't bring them across the border illegally. The administration did speak about asylum seekers. An asylum seeker is a person who leaves his or her own country and goes to another country for protection. The administration stated that those who are entering the United States border and presenting themselves as asylum seekers would not have the zero-tolerance policy used against them. The administration, though, has been holding a number of asylum seekers in immigration detention and reportedly have separated some of these people from their children. For non-asylum seeking immigrants, they are also being held in detention centers. Since the new zero-tolerance policy, it is almost guaranteed that families who are crossing illegally will be separated. The policy requires criminal prosecution for those that have entered the United States without proper documentation and discourages the practice of releasing immigrants while the immigration cases are still pending. There's no federal regulation that mandates the separation of families. This happens because it is required that adults are held in either immigration or criminal jails. There are laws, though, against holding children in adult criminal detention facilities. This means that the adults and their children cannot legally be held in the same facilities. Therefore, the child is taken from the parent and placed in the custody of the Department of Health and Human Services. Considering there are no legal limitations against separating children from their families, the Trump administration is claiming that it is necessary. On June 15th, a Department of Homeland Security official told reporters that 1,995 children were separated in 6 weeks. Pediatricians, psychologists, and other health experts are strongly against the separation of children from their parents. They are claiming that it causes serious harm and has long-lasting impacts on the children's physical and mental health, development, and well-being. Family separation has experienced huge judgment from both parties. More than a dozen United States senators sent a letter to the Attorney General asking for a halt to zero-tolerance policy. They wanted a pause on family separation to allow Congress time to address the issue. On June 20th, in response to the uproar, President Trump issued an executive order to address the issue of family separation. The order required that there is no longer separation between children and their families, but did not address whether or not the children already separated would be reunited. As for the July 26 deadline, the government announced it has reunited 1,820 of the 2,551 children with parents or sponsors. The administration then deemed the remaining 711 separated children ineligible to be reunited. There are several different views to the issue, the uproar against family separation, and how the administration handled the push against family separation. Some feel as though the separation of families was acceptable. The zero-tolerance policy was in place to keep parents from crossing the border illegally if they did not want to be separated from their children. Others believe that the zero-tolerance policy was too harsh and that those trying to reach the United States, even illegally, should not be treated as criminals. Either way, there are thousands of families whose lives are dependent on what happens next.